Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is September 8th, 2023, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, Intel makes new yearly highs for 2023, and that's major news as the markets are kind of shifting right now. Now, there's no major economic events scheduled for today, so as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pairs looking to rebound right now as they're kind of consolidating, and as we look at the indices, both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ are starting to recover after an initial sell-off. Now, when we look at the commodities, gold pretty much unchanged, just a slightly higher, while oil retracing after that big push higher. And lastly, looking at the stocks, Apple had a gap down and started to recover itself. And lastly, Bitcoin remains unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Euro USD. It's not a big deal, but it's a deal. Okay, so we're going to start out with a weekly chart, which is a longer time frame than we just normally look at. And this is the point. Okay, there is a support-ish level at this 107-ish level, and we're bounced off of it right now at 107.16, which is not that much far higher than where we were earlier this morning. However, it's still a bounce. Okay, now I would suggest that it's starting to bounce back, okay, because it's on support and because this is looking like it's rebounding. Now, it's not the only one that's rebounding. If we look at the Canadian dollar, also rebounding as well. If we look, let's look at a daily chart a little bit better. There we go. You see, it stopped that initial move higher at that 136.80-ish level, and making that retracement right here. So this is really important. Now, the GBP hasn't really been trading so much, and so I'm not going to spend so much time with it. It's actually been inching closer and closer. Lastly, looking at the Japanese yen, also retraced at that 147. So everybody's eyes are on this to see if it's going to break out higher. Now, jumping into commodities, gold makes a little bit of a comeback, not something major, but if we look at a daily, you can see all three averages, moving averages, are converging into one flat line. So kind of give you a perspective of how flat this particular asset is trading. Now, when we look at crude oil, retracing here after hitting that 87.80-ish 5. Now, we do have resistance at 92, but 90 is a round-off number that we didn't even hit it. So keep in mind, this may correct itself as we go into the next couple of weeks. Now, jumping into the U.S. market, starting out with the Dow Jones, a little bit of a recovery here. This is what I'm talking about. It looks like it's starting to recover after a decent sell-off. And also the NASDAQ, okay, because this is after hours trading. So you have to take that into consideration that although we traded lower yesterday, in terms of after hours trading, the futures are pointing higher. Now, this is why it's a little bit confusing, okay? Take a look at this. Intel hitting new highs for the year at 38.16. That is major information. That's really very important. Intel is a huge company, and it represents huge kind of companies because it's on the back end, remember, of its product life cycle, right? In term, not the product line. Okay, that's more correct, right? Need computer chips, and if Intel's doing well, then there's an anticipation the market's going to do well down the line. So just keep that in mind. Now, looking at the other majors, Apple had a big gap down. Okay, look at that gap down. That was a serious gap down, and then made some headway back from 173 up to 177. Not a big deal, but I expect it to close the gap, at least to close the gap. Now remember, it's also coming out with a phone very soon, and it's having that launch in October, so this is major stuff that is still coming about. Now, looking at the other majors, the banks are still very soft, okay? If you look, Bank of America and JP Morgan, still very soft. Microsoft not doing much, okay? So there's not a lot of things going on in the markets, but there are individual things going on. Now, NVIDIA also had a decent sell-off after a gap down, but also, you see, it's reluctant to break lower, okay? So I wonder if this is a shifting point in the markets right now, and just have to keep our ears open. Now, lastly, look at Bitcoin. Not much of a change to 26,000 from 27. It's not much of a change. Okay, I'm going to keep this on the back burner just because it's there and everybody is hyped up about cryptocurrency still, but it's really not trading. Focus on the U.S. markets, focus on the Forex symbols. They're doing a lot better than trading cryptocurrencies where things are just, very low and then you get a spike. So keep that in mind as you want to trade character over just the name. Thanks, everybody. I want to wish you guys a great weekend. God bless.